Hi, everyone. Welcome to Takeover Tuesday. My name's Kennedy. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. We have such a fun show for you guys, and I just have a couple quick announcements before we get started. Make sure you guys tune in this Thursday to SMP Live with Blaine. We have Deb and Candace coming to you from the Bernina Convention. They're going to give you a whole tour, chat with you guys, see what's going on with Bernina. So if you have a Bernina and you're a Bernina fan, join in. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then also make sure you guys are tuning in. We've got tons of shows going on. We just had So Steady Monday yesterday. Always something going on. I said yesterday, 10 a.m. is SMP time. 10 a.m. PST is SMP time. But today, Kyle, you want to say hi? Let's get Kyle in here.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome. We have a special face here. I'm sure you recognize. But we have such a fun show today, and we have a very special guest. It is Rain Wilcoxon. She's the founder of Embroidery Garden. She is so amazing. Her talent is I just can't even begin. But let me go ahead and bring Reen on here, and let's chat with her about what we're going to do today. Hi, Reen. How are you?
Hi, Kennedy.
Awesome. I'm so excited that you're here. Everybody's all excited in the chat too. Of course. What do you have in store for us today?
Well, I'm going to be showing you how to stitch one of my in the hoop designs. This happens to be one of my design your own hipster purses. It has several different pocket options. It's fully lined, and we're going to do it all in the hoop.
Yes, that's my favorite kind of project. Well, real quick before I let you go, where can we find you? So give us some links. Where can we find you after today's show?
Okay, so my website is Embroidery Garden, and that's embroiderygarden.com. I'm also on Instagram under the name Embroidery Garden, all one word. And you can find me on Facebook. My website does have a Facebook page that you can find me there.
Awesome. All right, Reen. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Make sure you guys tune in. We have some giveaways today. We've got some fun stuff going on. So I'm going to let Reen take over, and we will be back in a bit.
All right. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. And big thanks to SMP for having me on and letting me take over their social media today. So like I just said a few minutes ago, I am going to be showing you how to stitch my in the hoop. This is the Design Your Own Hipster bag. It is a set of 4 different sizes of bags with 4 different pocket options. Today I'm going to be doing this, I don't know what I call it, like a double pocket option on this bag. Let me show you some of the other ones. I see a lot of people that I recognize coming in. Thanks for joining me. So this one is the same pocket option that I just showed. It's a big, large pocket. Another option is what I'll call this circle pocket. You can see it kind of makes just a big circle. Perfect to put your phone down in these front pockets or anything you want easy access to. This is like an L-shaped pocket. And all these options are in the set. And this is a V-shaped pocket. So you get all these options. You have the option of files with stippling, files with not or without stippling. And also, let me double check. I know it's on one of these. I have a credit card or like a little pocket option on the lining. And of course, I'm going to have to open up every one before I find it. And if you can kind of peek inside there, you can see, well, let me just kind of stick my hand in there. It's just a couple little pockets to put some things down in that is on the lining. Those are all options. So let me go ahead and move this out of the way. What size hoop are there? Are 3 different hoop sizes in the set: 7 by 12, 8 by 12, 9.5 by 14. So on this one, what I did was, instead of using batting, I used the foam, that Bosal foam, and it gave this bag like a lot of structure. Today I'm going to be using just regular batting because I want to kind of show you the difference when they're finished. And this one I did an adjustable strap. I did little tabs. Tabs are the same as doing a big, long sewn in strap, except you're just doing the little tab part. So it makes it easier to sew. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get started. Let's take a look at the hoop here first. So I have, let me grab this out of here. This is all the pieces I'm going to be using, and we're going to talk about those in just a second. I have hooped. This is my favorite stabilizer. It's the Exquisite No-Show Mesh type of stabilizer. It's a cutaway. The bag size that I'm doing today is an 8 by 12. I have gone ahead and stitched the first step, which is just a placement line for my zipper. So it's 2 long parallel lines. Yeah, I love the fabric. It's batik. I really fall back on batiks. But before we get started with that, let me go over the pocket option. So if you're going to do one of the pockets that I showed you on the front of the bag, you're going to have to make the pocket first. And the pockets are made in the hoop. Basically, you hoop stabilizer. And all of my instructions come with step-by-step photos, so they're very detailed. So to make any of the pockets, basically you hoop the stabilizer, stitch some placement lines, lay your first piece down right side up, lay the second pocket piece right side down on top of it, and then it stitches the shape of the pocket. So for example, it's stitched, this contour here on this style of pocket. And it comes out of the hoop, and, real quick, I can show you, you just trim it, clip the curve, turn it right side out, give it a nice little press, and your pocket is all ready to go. And you just set that aside. You have the option of not using any pocket if you don't want to. So it's really a very versatile set. And SMP does carry this set on their website. So let's get back to the hoop. And I want to get my pieces back in the order that I need them in. So as I said earlier, all I did was stitch the first step of the design, which is 2 long parallel lines. So what I like to do, and a tip for you, is I like to take the lines after they're stitched and line them up on my mat. See how I line that up? It helps me also to get my zipper placed nice and straight, because I really hate to do a bag and when I'm done that the zipper got a little bit crooked. So I like to use the mat, the guidelines there. So the zipper would be placed right side up. Now you might be thinking this zipper is a metal zipper because it's kind of shiny, but it's not. This is a faux metal zipper. It still has a nylon coil, even though it has that look of metal to it. So you're going to lay the zipper down right side up, and I put the pull on the left. That's just my preference. It wouldn't matter if you put the pull on the right side. But I go ahead and I like to tape one edge down, and then I like to make sure it's nice and straight. And I tape the other edge down. Make sure you get it in those lines. One other little thing that I kind of like to do is put a piece of tape just like 1/8 of an inch over the edge, because I know that step number 2 is going to come down and it's going to stitch my zipper in place for me. So as it's stitching, I don't want my zipper moving this way. So I like to put a little piece of tape there along the bottom. And I'm going to put a little piece of tape up on the top edge too, just to hold it down. So I can change to the machine. And I'm going to put this back on the machine. And we're going to stitch step number 2, which is going to stitch my zipper in place. Let me wake my machine up and go ahead and start stitching step number 2. I see some questions coming in. Ginger, yes, they do make faux metal zippers, and they are really neat looking. Just great. I love using them. Several different places you can get faux metal zippers. You can Google and find all kinds. So this step 2 is what it's doing is it's securing my zipper to the stabilizer. So as I'm doing the rest of the design, I don't have to worry about it. I like to use a medical tape. It's from 3M. It's a Transport medical tape. It really holds things down well, and I really like to use it. So I'm going to take the hoop off the machine, and we're going to look at what just stitched. All right, so you can see that it stitched the zipper along both sides. I'm going to take the tape off because I don't need the tape any longer, because the stitching is holding my zipper in place for me. And you're going to notice too that my zipper is long. See how it extends over the edges of the hoop? You want it to do that because you don't want to take a chance of the needle or the foot hitting the zipper. And I want you to take a look at how it actually stitched it down. Notice when it came down here and it's stitching along, that's just a thread. And it made this little mark right here. When I designed this set, I digitized this mark in here. And what that mark is, it's marking the center of the hoop. And that's important because that's how we're going to get our pocket lined up. So know that if you see this little mark coming down, it's supposed to be there. It's a centering mark. I'm using an 8x12 hoop today to do this, but there are other sizes included. But the first step is to turn your hoop to the back side. And you're going to notice when I turned it, and this is how all of my photos are in my instructions. The front side of the hoop is always like this, and the part that hooks to the machine is always on the left. When I turn it to the back side, I turn it like a page of a book. So we know we are on the correct side. So I'm going to take a piece of lining, and I'm going to take one of the short ends. This is right side down, place it even with that bottom line, that bottom placement line for the zipper. And I'm just going to put a couple little pieces here of tape to hold it in place. Carefully turn it to the front side, because the next step now is to place the pocket. And it's going on the front side of the hoop. It's going to go right side down. With the batiks, kind of hard to tell right from wrong side. So a lot of times I just kind of see which side do I like best. But it's going to go right side down, and I'm going to center the edge here of my pocket with that centering mark that's stitched. And it's pretty easy to center it over there. And I am going to put just a little piece of tape on there because I don't want it to move. And then I have to put the next piece of fabric on, right side down, and I have the edge even with the bottom edge of the zipper. So see, it's even with this bottom edge of the zipper, and I'm going to tape it in place. This is the piece of fabric. Let me grab my sample here. This is the piece of fabric here that's behind the pocket, the one that I just placed. So let me tape this in place, because we know what happens if we don't take time to tape something down. It always happens that something will go wrong. So make sure you tape your pieces in place. And now I want to carefully lift this up. Make sure that that lining piece on the back side of the hoop is still extending out from the top of the hoop. And let me just get it over here to the machine. And let me switch over there so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just getting the hoop back on the machine, making sure everything stays in place. Okay, whoops. Got my stabilizer kind of crept down there. Okay, make sure everything looks good. You can see my bottom line piece needs to be moved a little bit, and we're ready to stitch step number 3 of the design, and it's stitching all of these pieces to that bottom edge of the zipper. And sometimes I think I should keep my eye on the hoop just to make sure nothing goes wrong. I see Arlene is asking what kind of tape I'm using. It's a medical tape. Let me grab it here. It's just a roll. It's clear. It tears very easily. So this happens to be 1 inch wide. It does come in 1/2 inch, etc. I like it because it really holds things on well. It's a plastic kind of a tape, and it's the tape that I've used for years and years. All right, so let me get this off the machine and back on the table. Okay, and now I can take this tape off because I don't need it, because the stitching is holding everything down. All right, now the next step is to place batting here on the hoop. And this is going to give the bag a little bit of body. Now this is where on the sample, on my original sample, I used Bosal foam, and it gave it a lot of body, a lot of structure. And I wanted to use the just regular batting today on this one. So at the end, you can see the difference. So I placed the edge even with that stitched line. And now I'm going to take this top piece and pull it down. Okay, and I want to make sure that I pull it, nice and snug. And I am going to tape it down here at the bottom. Now, again, the designs do come with stippling and without stippling. I am going to go ahead and stipple it today. Leave the pocket up here still at the top, because if we pull our pocket down now, it would stipple over top of it, and we don't want that. I am going to remove this tape that I used to hold the pocket down because I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to pop it on the machine again and stitch the next step, which will stitch the stippling of the design. Make sure that lining piece on the back is still, I'm just going to show you that it's still there up above the hoop. We haven't moved that piece yet. And let me get it stitching, and I'll look to see what kind of questions there are. All right, let's see. Oh, I see a lot more people have joined us. Thank you. I like the foam too, April. It does add a lot of structure. Let's see. Barb loves in the hoop designs. I do too. I have been stitching in the hoop designs and creating them for close to 20 years now. So Trish, it is easy. She said, I make it look so easy. It really is this easy. Again, my instructions that come with my designs are very detailed. I include lots of photos, step by step, and I'm always an email away if anyone ever needed help. Hi, Joanne. Thanks for joining me. Yes, Sewing Machine Plus does carry the Bosal foam. And again, it really adds body, because if I took the purse and see, I can hold it and it's not drooping down. If I use just, well, here I can show you, because these were made with batting in them, and then see how it kind of droops down more. It all depends on the type of feel you want for your finished project. Maybe you want a softer feel and just use batting, or maybe you want to use the foam and have a little bit more structure in your bag. Yeah, and the pockets, again, if you come in late, the set, and it is on sale, I think, at SMP, so you can grab it. The different pocket types are the scoop, the circle, the what I call the L shape, kind of an L-shaped pocket, a V pocket, again, phones, etc., fit down inside for easy access, whatever you want to carry. And then the one that we're doing today, kind of this little contoured pocket edge. So I see some more questions. Thank you, Barbara. Thanks for joining us, Denise. And the stippling is done. So let's take that off the machine. And you can see that sorry. So you can see it's just some stippling, adds a little bit of detail, and it's really nice too when using the batting or the foam, because that helps to add more structure. Oh, Becky, you're asking about the pocket. Yes, I failed to mention that, but I did put ironed on one side of one of the pieces of fabric. I ironed SF 101. That's a fusible interfacing. So it gives that front pocket just a little bit more stability. Okay, thanks for catching that. So the next step now is to bring my pocket down. I just want to make sure that everything is lying nice and flat. You're going to notice up here at the top, maybe you can see it better on my sample, that you make a small, tiny pleat. You can see that, a small, tiny pleat at the top of the pocket. This is right after you finish making the pocket. And what that does is, let's see if I can turn it maybe this way. See, it kind of adds a little dimension to the pocket so that it's not just flat smashed against the front of the bag. So it's easier to, drop things down in and get your hand in there and take them out again. So I'm going to pull the pocket down, make sure everything is staying nice and flat. And I'm just going to take this tape that I was using to hold the other part down and retape it to hold this down. This set is I call it design your own hipster bag set, because you actually get to design your own bag because you get to pick the pocket or not have a pocket. You get to pick whether you want the bag stippled or not. And that little bit of the lining that I showed you at the very beginning, with just has 2 double pockets, that's another option. So you have, different options with the set. So after this is done, the next step is to turn the hoop back to the back side. I'm going to bring my lining piece down now. And you notice I didn't bring it down earlier, because if I did, the stippling would have stitched through the lining, and that's not what I want. I'm going to remove the tape from the sides here because I don't need that. I like this tape too because it you can use it, take it off of something, and then use it to retape again. So I'm going to tape down the bottom corners. So now you can see how the bag is coming along. What I'm going to add now, the next piece, is Ginger. You can get this design set from SMP. I'm sure they'll be putting up the link here soon, and you can shop while you watch. Okay, so this piece is the piece of lining that is actually going to be on the inside above the zipper. So you take one long edge, it's right side down, and I'm going to place this edge even with that top edge of the zipper. So let me get it lined up. Let me grab a couple more pieces of tape because we want to tape this in place. And taping it on either side is perfectly fine. I usually don't put tape in the center or anything. Don't need that. Just be careful. Turn it to the front side. Make sure that it doesn't fall off or move. And the next step now is to take the piece of main fabric, and we have to put it, this is going to be the piece that's going to be above the zipper when the bag is finished. So I'm going to lay it right side down. Again, match up the long edge with the top edge of that zipper. Again, grab a couple pieces of tape. You really need tape when you're doing in the hoop designs. I see someone said they're coming in late and wanting to know what design this is. This is my one of the bags from the In the Hoop Design Your Own Hipster set. Again, that's lined up with the top edge of the zipper. I have that piece on the back, remember, the piece on the top. It's time to take it back to the machine. And the next step is going to stitch a line here that attaches these 2 pieces. Just make sure that that piece on the back, let's look at it. It's still there. It hasn't fallen off or anything. Just make sure that when we put it back on the machine, that it's lying down. So let me get it over to the machine. And get the hoop connected. Pick the machine up, and it's going to stitch this piece on. I want to make sure that it stays in place there. Florianne, yeah, I believe that SMP keeps these videos up on their YouTube channel, so you'll be able to watch it there. And I just want to keep my eye on the hoop here a little bit, just to make sure nothing goes wrong. All right, it looks like it's almost done. Yes, Nana, you can purchase the design set from SMP. I believe they put the link up a little bit earlier. Okay, so this step is done, and we're going to go back to the table. I always like to double check and make sure nothing happened on the back side. So the back side looks great. I'm going to remove the tape because I don't need it. The piece is stitched down. Just get that off of there. The next step is to place the batting underneath this piece because we want it padded too. So I'm just taking the long edge of the batting and placing it against that stitched line right there. Get back up there and then fold it up and over and tape this in place. So you see how the front of the bag now is really coming along. The next step is going to stitch some decorative dots going across, just kind of a little design element that I wanted to add. Again, the piece on the back is still down. It has not been moved yet. So let me get this on the machine. And then I will show you the little row of decorative dots it's going to be stitching. So this step right now, see this row of little dots here above the zipper? That's what it's stitching right now. I just thought it kind of added a little, accent, little design element there at the top of the bag. So that'll take a few minutes to stitch that. So if you got any questions, okay, Arnell, hi, thanks for being here. What I used for stabilizer was I used the Exquisite no-show mesh, that lightweight cutaway. I use that fabric. That's kind of, you brought up a good point here. Remember earlier I said, if you didn't want to, you wouldn't have to add the pocket. But let's say you didn't add the pocket and you wanted to stitch a design like on the front of the bag. The cutaway might be enough stabilizer, depending on the number of stitches on any design you added to it. But if you were adding a design and maybe it was kind of a little dense or had a lot of stitches to it, when you brought this piece down, you might want to slip another piece of maybe a heavier cutaway underneath just to support those stitches. The designs basically are, meant to be stitched, like this. And that's why I suggest the stabilizer that I do. But of course, you could, stitch something on the front if you wanted to. Carol, the size needle I'm using for most anything, I use a 7511 sharp needle. The only time I bump it up to maybe an 8012 is sometimes I like to stitch on cork. And if I'm going through cork and batting and lining and everything, I might bump up to an 8012 needle. Ginger, this bag that I'm stitching right now is, this bag is the 9.5 by 14. This one is 8 by 12 that I'm stitching in the hoop, and the sample is an 8 by 12. Janine, no, there's not a kit with the hardware, but I did use 2 D-rings and I used 3/4 inch hardware on this bag. The size of hardware, that's kind of a personal preference, for everyone. I kind of thought 3/4 looked good on this bag. So I added the tabs with the D-rings, and I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. The swivel hooks and an adjustable, what do you call this? It's a slider. Okay, so you can make the strap adjustable. And I use rivets. I like to use rivets to attach my hardware to the straps. A lot of people like to stitch that little box, make a little box and put an X in it. That's kind of hard for me. It looks messy to me, so I just like to pop a rivet in there. It's quicker, and I think it looks really nice. So that step is done, the one that stitched the decorative dots above the zipper. So let's go back to the table, and you can see the little decorative dots that it stitched there. Next step is to go back to the back side of the hoop. I'm going to remove the tape because I don't need the tape any longer. Everything is stitched down. Someone's asking if you can add a vertical seam to divide the pocket. Well, if you wanted to do that, since the pocket, is added on, you would have to do that in the hoop because you can't come back later. It would be too hard to do that. You could take your hoop at this point. I would take this lining fabric and have it folded back up. But you could take this and put it under your sewing machine and run a seam down the middle if you wanted to at this point. Doing it once the bag is done, that's going to be like really hard. So to continue, we were on the back side of the hoop. We're going to take this piece and fold it up And I do need to tape it. So let me grab some tape. And let me grab the other, another piece. This other side. Now, at this point, this piece of stabilizer here, directly behind this piece of stabilizer is my zipper. Years and years ago, I used to use a water soluble. So if you used a water soluble, I could wait until my bag was done and then just kind of, use a wet Q-tip and get that out of there to have access to my bag. Well, I stopped using WSS in the hoop bags because if you steamed them or anything, they would just shrivel up. So I've started using this cutaway, this no-show mesh cutaway. I like it a lot better. The thing is, though, you do have to trim out the piece of stabilizer here, excuse me, so that you have access into your bag. And I saw Barb, is this done in more than one hooping? Well, yeah, if you wanted to add the pocket, like I did, you have to make the pocket first. There's no way you can make this fully lined pocket like this in the hoop and attach it like it is. So you do have to make the pocket first if you want it. Pockets are optional. And I did mention there is a file for a liner that has just 2 small pockets in it. And if you wanted to do that you would have to do that first too. Okay, so all I do is I love these little scissors, these little Kai scissors. They have a curved tip, very sharp. And what I do is I just start maybe an inch in from the edge of the hoop, get that tip underneath there. The most important thing is do not cut your zipper. If you do, you have a bad problem. So make sure that your blade is just up underneath that stabilizer. And what I do is I don't cut. I don't like cut. I just take the blade and run it. Let me grab the little piece of stabilizer here. I just take the blade and run it along the stabilizer, just like this, and go about an inch before the edge of the hoop. And see how quickly I can trim that? That's one edge trimmed. I take my scissors, do the same thing with this other edge. Let me get it started. And then I can just take my scissors and glide them. And now I have my piece of stabilizer out, and that gives me access into my bag when it's finished. Yes, it is terribly frustrating if you cut your zipper. So just to make sure that only the tip of the scissors are underneath that stabilizer. It should, when you're doing this, it should cut very easily. If you're really having to cut and cut, then more than likely you are cutting through, your zipper. Okay, so everything here on the back side is good. Let's go to the front side. The next step of the design is going to stitch some placement marks up here so we know where to place our straps or our tabs. And on this one, I'm doing tabs. So let me get it over to the machine. This step is going to stitch really quickly, just a couple of tiny little placement lines. Oh, it looks like I had my zipper pull got stuck in the of my machine. We're going to have to fix that. So that's good. I can show you how to do that. All right, so right now the placement lines are starting to stitch. So let's talk about how I make straps. So for a 3/4 inch finished strap, I cut a piece of fabric 3 inches wide. Now, of course, this would be a long piece of fabric for a strap. I fold it wrong sides together and press it so that I have a crease here. Then I take both long edges, fold them into the crease, press, fold it in half, press, and then top stitch close to the edge along both sides here. And then that's how I get my strap made. Let me give you a little close-up look at the strap. Usually I make my straps about 50 inches long, and the little tabs are 3 inches long. So I might make the whole thing maybe, let's say, 60 inches. And then that way I just cut the tabs off of it instead of having to work with, two tiny little pieces. Is just make one big long piece that you're going to get your strap and your tabs out of at one time. So that's how I make my straps. This one that I did on the bag, I do put a little bit of that SF 101 in here because I want, I want a little bit of stability on my strap. I just don't want a piece of folded fabric. So this makes a nice strap, adding that SF 101. So here are my tabs that I've created. Oops, maybe can't see that D-ring. So all I do is I've got a strap here, take my D-ring, slide it through, bring the short ends together. And what I like to do, you can see it on this one, hopefully, what I like to do is baste across those short ends, because in the past I have had, if I just tape it down like this, sometimes they slip and slide, and I don't like that. I want them to stay nicely together. So I went ahead and I got my straps done, or my tabs done. And so we have our placement lines done. So let's bring this over here. And I told you earlier when I was putting this hoop on the machine, I pulled off my zipper pull. So let's get that put back on. So these are zipper by the, whoops, let me get it up here where you can see it. This is zipper by the yard. So they come, with pulls. And let me see, I'm going to have to add it to this opposite side here. And hopefully it's going to go on nice and easy for me. Because it's a little bit trickier while it's sewn down into the hoop. So let me see if I can get this part on. It's going to be a little bit tricky for me. If I turn it a little bit, I'll have better luck at pulling it. Things happen, and there are always, ways to work around it. Ta-da! Whoops, I'm sorry, I didn't have that in the camera view. But ta-da! I fixed it. And I'm just going to let it sit right over here on the edge. And I'm going to go ahead and tape that down. Whew, I'm so glad I got that I got that on there. So let me just go ahead and tape that pull down. Probably should have done that in the first place, but let's have a look here. So the placement marks. Let me grab something. You can see the one here, and the other one is right here. They're just small little placement marks. Yay, right, Barb? Woo! That makes me feel a lot better. So I'm going to take my tabs, and whenever you are adding something like this to something in the hoop, whether it be like a little tab to, maybe you're going to add a split ring to it or something like that, the looped end. So you can see my tab, and here's my looped end. This is the fold, points towards the inside of the hoop. So I'm going to take my tab, put the edge of it even with this little placement line that's stitched. Okay. And I'm going to put the top of the tab even with the top of the little placement line. So again, I'm putting the left-hand side of my tab even with that placement line, and I'm putting the cut ends even with the top of it. And let me grab my tape, because you definitely want to tape this in place. And I'm just going to put a piece of tape kind of up here by the cut end. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other tab. I'm going to place this one so that the right-hand edge is even with that placement line. Let me get that lined up. I have to stand up to do it. I want to make sure I get them both even. Okay, so now the next step, I know it's a little hard to see with that dark color I used. Let me bring it up a little bit closer. Okay, so I have my tabs in place. Now, if you were doing a strap, the whole big long strap, you could do it. You would just place the cut-ins there, but you'd have to gather that strap up and make sure it's all stays in the middle. That's why I like using tabs. So the next step is it's actually going to stitch my tabs down in place for me because it's easier if they get stitched down instead of, just leaving the tape on them. So I'm going to keep an eye on that just to make sure that nothing happens because it does one. It just goes over the tab a little bit and make sure that it goes to the second one. Looks great. So, Beverly says she likes using zipper by the yard. I do too, and it's less expensive because, you have a big long, 3 yards or 5 yards of zipper, and you can cut off what you need, and you don't have to go running back and forth to a store looking for something. So let's go back to the table, and you can see that it stitched these down. You can grab some tape off of here real quick because I don't need it on there. We're almost done with the bag. There is actually only the next step and then one more step. So the next step is to take a main piece of fabric, lay it right side down over the entire, better unzip my zipper halfway. After I sat there and had to fix it like I did, I better unzip it. How many times has that happened to everyone? I know I've done it a few times. So here's my zipper, unzipped halfway. And I want to make sure that my D-rings stay where they're supposed to be. So we're taking our last piece of main fabric, laying it right side down, centered over the top of the hoop. I want to kind of press it down to make sure it stays in place. Taking a piece of batting. On that first one that I showed you, my main sample, I did use the foam. And then I'm going to put it back on the machine, and it's just going to sew a line down here at the bottom, kind of attaching all of this stuff. Double checking the back side of the hoop to make sure nothing moved or shifted on me. And this step is only going to take not even a minute to stitch. Yeah, it really is easy. If you've never done in the hoop designs, just try one. That's all you can do is try it. And again, I include very detailed instructions with photos that take you step by step through a design. Linda says she likes the Santa bags. Yeah, I do too. Those are some cute designs. And I believe S&P carries that set also. All right, so that step is done stitching. Let me take it off the hoop, off the machine and go back to the table. So you can see all it did was stitch a line down here to connect everything. We're going to go to the back side of the hoop. Last piece of fabric we're going to add. It's another lining piece, and it goes right side down, centered over the back of the hoop. And we are going to want to tape it down in all 4 corners. Make sure that it stays nice and flat and smooth. Let me grab a couple more pieces of tape. Keep it up there, and one more for the other corner. And I'm going to carefully turn it over and put it back on the machine because this last step is going to stitch around the bag, leaving an opening. So let me get it on the machine, and then I'll straighten out this piece. Let's go to the machine. So again, everything on the back side looks good. I'm going to get it on the machine and kind of smooth everything. Oops, sorry, hit the camera. Smooth everything out. Make sure that everything is lying nice and flat. And I'm going to start stitching this last step. I do want to double check and make sure that my D-rings are where they need to be, and they are. All right, so everything looks great. Like I said, I do kind of want to keep a little bit of an eye on it because we know if when something happens is when you decide to turn and look away. Someone just said they've got to do 30 bags in 30 days. You can do it. I mean, I would say after you have all of your pieces and everything cut out and ready to go, the actual stitch out time on this bag is 10 minutes. So of course it's taking a little bit longer for me to talk and, tell you things. So you can get your bags done one day and then do the trimming, another day. Trimming and turning. So that's what we're going to be doing next. We are going to be taking it out of the hoop and we're going to be trimming it and getting ready to turn it. And someone asked, what machine am I using? This is the Brother Luminaire. I'm going to stop my machine just for a second because I want to double check that hardware. It's still in place. You could you could tape that hardware down if you wanted to. Yeah, 10 minutes is the stitch time of the design. When the machine is actually stitching, it takes it 10 minutes to stitch it. Of course, it takes it long, it takes longer to make the bag because you have to lay the fabrics down, tape them down, etc. But the actual stitch time of the design is just 10 minutes. Even less if you didn't want to add the stippling. All right, so it's almost done. It's coming back around. Patricia says she needs a luminaire. Yes, you do. I love it. I love mine. All right, so it's almost done. And then we're going to take it out of the hoop. Nana, how hard is it to make the pocket? All the pocket is you hoop the stabilizer, stitch a placement line, place the pieces for the instructions, let it stitch the shape of the pocket, take it out of the hoop and turn it, and the pocket is done. Let's go back to the table so you can see it's all finished. I'm going to, let me get it out of the hoop here. And we're going to get ready to trim. So a couple of tips about trimming. What I like to do is, the first thing I like to do is to trim the batting close to the stitching all the way around. And all I do is take my scissors, I'm getting close to that batting all the way around. And what this does is it gets the bulk, batting adds bulk. It gets the bulk out of your seam and out of the corners. Because when I turn this, I want my corners to look really, really nice. So just this one little extra step of trimming the batting down, and I'm kind of going fast here. Normally I might go a little bit slower, but I want to get, this is the first step, and all I'm trimming here is batting. And again, like I said, I would probably go a little bit slower to be a little bit neater. All right, so I can get rid of that. Now, if we look on the lining side of the bag, down here's the opening. This is how we're going to turn the bag. First, we have to trim it. What I like to do is I start on either side of the opening, and I'm cutting just up to like a 1/4 inch from the stitch line. And the reason I like to start here at the opening is because if I don't and I'm not paying attention, I will cut this off short here, and I need that extra there to be able to turn in to hide, my opening. You got to have fabric to turn in. So all I'm going to do now is trim a 1/4 inch away from the stitching all the way around the bag. One thing that I like to do is not cut through the zipper ends. I will cut them a little bit shorter, but I'm not cutting them as short as I'm cutting the fabric, only because if you cut it really short there and you're opening and closing your zipper and, doing a lot of things, it could cause your zipper to pull out of the seam. Also, I don't want to cut my tab ends really short. There's my tab here. It's a little hard to see with the dark fabric, but I'm going to do the exact same thing. Let me just kind of get started here. I know it's a little hard to see with this fabric that I use, but I'm cutting just on either side of my tab. See, that's the top of the tab. I don't want to cut it really short either because, you know, you got your strap on your bag and your opening, closing, getting in and out of your purse. If you cut it short, it would have a tendency to pull out. So I'm just doing that over here too. I'm just trimming around this tab so I don't cut it too short. And I could cut a little bit more there. All right, let me come down this side. I have the other edge of the zipper here. And again, I'm doing this a little bit quickly. Don't want Blaine coming on shooing me out of here. All right, and now I'm back to the opening again. And move all this out of the way and let you get a look at it. All right, so here I've trimmed it so far. Let me get this corner kind of rounded. I didn't round that one. So down here at the opening, here are my two lining pieces. This piece here and this piece here make my opening where I'm going to turn it. So everything underneath there, I don't need that. That's bulk. So I'm going to trim that away. And I would go back and I would clip into these rounded corners. I'm not going to take the time to go all the way around and clip into each of the rounded corners, but I would do that. Let's turn it. Who's excited for the turning? So I just reach my hand in. Let me try and keep this under the camera for you. And then I'm turning the bag. Now, Sewing Machines Plus sells a really great turning tool, and I'm going to show it to you here in a second. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to use my fingers to get the corners out as best I can, the top and the bottom of the bag. And then I'm going to grab my turning tool. I love this tool. And this is what I'm going to use to go inside the bag and really get my corners pushed out nicely. See how nice that corner pushed out? This bag has rounded corners. And you want to take the time while you at this turn to get those corners pushed out nicely. It makes a huge difference. And let me get this last one pushed out. And also I like to take this tool and I'm on the inside the bag and can you see it moving along that seam? I like to push that seam out. At this point, normally I like to press my bags. Let me get that out of here. I like to press my bags with the iron, just lightly, no steam. And you're going to take the opening, turn it in, turn both of the edges in. You can hand stitch the opening closed and just get them lined up. You can either hand stitch that opening closed, or you can use like seam fusible tape. This is on a roll. It's like a 1/2 inch wide. I just cut a piece off that I need. Slip it in here, make sure everything is nice and even, and apply heat, and it stays shut. It's great. All I have to do now is finish getting the zipper opened and turn the bag again through the zipper. Oh, we're almost done. Isn't it exciting? Again, push all the corners out with my finger first, and then I will come back with my tool to get them out nicely. So I won't take the time to go through every corner, but you get the idea. I'm just using the tool to make sure everything is pushed out nicely. Zip it up. I would give it a nice little press. Here are my D-rings. Give it a nice little press and take the strap that I, previously made. And then all you do is clip the swivel hooks onto the D-ring and the purse is done. So, hope you enjoyed that. That's all it is to making the bag. It's really pretty simple, if you break it down into all the steps. So, Kennedy, are there any questions that, I missed? Can't hear you.
There we go. The Wi-Fi gremlins are out today. First off, you did an awesome job doing that. I mean, I couldn't believe it. You did that all in an hour. That would take me all day.
Oh, thanks.
And with your instruction, I was just thinking, if you guys buy this pattern, you can rewatch this episode and, do it with Reen. And that way you have, her voice helping you out and showing you all the different things. But yeah, you did awesome. Let me see what other questions we've got over here. I know a lot of people were like, oh, the Luminaire. If you're interested in that machine, call one of our retail locations and get some more info on that. Other than that, we do have a new product party coming up. And if you're interested in buying some of the top of the line machines, email CEO at Sewing Machines Plus, and we might be able to fly you out to buy that machine, just letting you guys know. So keep an eye out, and I email CEO at Sewing Machines Plus for more information on getting those machines. Let's see. Everybody's saying they love the fabrics you're using. We actually have some of those in our retail stores. So if you're close, check out those batiks. I'm like you. I love batiks.
Yeah, I fall back on them. They do make great purses.
Yes. Any designs like that. I remember I made a trapunto bag, and it was just, I used batiks and I just loved it. And ever since then, I only use batiks. It's great. I'm not seeing any more questions. I know a lot of people were asking about the tape. If you just want to mention one more time what tape you're using.
Yeah, it's Transport. Here it is. Transport medical tape. It's from 3M. It says Transport. I know I can't get it where you can see it, but it says Transport on the inside. You get it off of Amazon. It's just a really great tape. I love it.
And I saw you were reusing it too, which is good. I mean, less is more,
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let me see. I'm trying to find if there's any more questions. So Becky Munns asked, did you trim the no-show mesh from the front pocket or leave it in?
I trimmed it. It's very easy to trim it because the pocket piece is all open inside once it gets done stitching. So it's very easy to trim it away.
Right. Awesome. And Barb asked, can you stitch through the tape?
Yes, you probably saw a few times I did. I try not to, stitch through tape if I don't have to. But with this tape, if I happen to stitch through it, I've never had a problem.
Awesome. Cool. That's awesome. All right. Well, I'm not seeing. Oh, if you wanted to buy the pattern, you can go to SewingMachinesPlus.com and get the pattern on SMP, or you can go to Embroidery Garden as well. And you have so many more designs and you have tons of different items. I know people were talking about the Santa bags. I haven't seen those, but now I want to.
Maybe go check them out. Takeover Tuesday.
Hey. I mean, if you guys want her back, let us know. We would love to have you back. Well, alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and we're going to do some giveaways. But thank you so much for coming on, Reen. I enjoyed every second of your takeover, and I know everyone here did too. But just thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thanks. And tell Blaine I said hi.
He was just over here. I was just over looking at him. I'm like, look at him on the show. There's Kyle. Let me get Kyle over here.
Hi, Reen. Hi, Kyle.
We got the whole crew over here today. But yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.
Thanks.
Yes, visit the merch store. Look, he's got his merch. We all have our merch. You guys got to go get your merch. Okay, but now it is time to do some giveaways. I hope you guys are ready. We have some fun things today. So let me get this up on here and let's do our giveaway. So our first giveaway today is going to be our classic sew mats. We have, I think, about 14 or 15 different color options and 4 different sizes now. So if you have a bigger machine, you can use a bigger mat. If you want more room, you can go bigger, smaller, whatever you choose. Let's get this up. And let's go ahead and spin the wheel. Are we ready? The suspense. Oh no, it kind of cut off the names. That's okay. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Tracy Sayre, congratulations. You have just won yourself a brand new sew mat. So if you would like, go down to smplive.tv. The website is running across the screen right there. Put your information in and get your prize. We'll go ahead and get that shipped out to you. Just enter the info and where you're coming from, what show you watched today, and we will get you that sew mat. And pick your color. We have 2 new colors as well, like an aqua teal color and then cherry blossom, which is my favorite. Love it. Okay, our next giveaway is going to be a $25 gift card, so that way you guys can go shop anything that you liked on today's show. You guys can go shop and get the pattern, get her scissors that she was talking about, all the different essentials, and that Bosel stabilizer foam. That's awesome, especially if you like making purses. It's great. We love it. Let's go ahead and spin the wheel and see who's gonna win. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. The suspense. It's always so. Janine! Okay, Janine Smith, you have just won a $25 gift card. So go ahead and head to smplive.tv, and there's going to be a form where you can fill out your information and just let them know where you're coming from today, and we will get you that gift card so you can go shop and get $25 off. All righty. So that. Alrighty. That was episode 4 of Takeover Tuesday with Rain Wilcoxon. I'm so happy you guys came and joined us today. Let me get me back on the screen. Let me switch this back real quick. Thank you guys so much for coming on today. I had so much fun. I just saw the chat. It was going crazy the entire time Reen was on doing her project. I think I'm going to go try one now. I might make some for everybody in the office here. We're all going to be rocking our hipster bags. But other than that, make sure you guys tune in on Thursday for SMP Live. We have a full show for you. We're going to have our very own Deb and Candace at Bernina in Palm Springs taking you around the convention, showing you all the fun things going on over there. So they're going to be streaming live from Palm Springs. So that will be a fun show. And other than that, let's see what else. I think we have let me mention our new product party real quick. August 12th and 13th, we are having a brand new product party at both of our retail locations. And if you're interested in buying a new machine, but you're not in the retail area or you're not in California, email CEO@SewingMachinesPlus, and we might have some opportunities for you to get flown out here to buy your new machine. You never know. Blaine always got some magic up his sleeve. So we might have some fun things for you. You never know. Alrighty. Well, other than that, I'm going to go ahead and take off. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and make sure you guys tune in for all of our other SMP Live shows. Like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss another SMP Live show. All right, guys. See you guys later. Have a good rest of your day. Bye, guys. Thank you.